Greetings and salutations to all of you lovely, fluffy, non-fluffy, normie, non-normie, and just as beautiful, equally beautiful listeners out there. Welcome back to the KittyFoxCast. Now, here's the thing. I actually have notes this time. I never write notes for this. I never write notes for the podcast. Like, whenever I do the podcast, I just kind of wing it. Because whenever, in a weird, sweet way, doing this is kind of like a therapy for me, because it helps me kind of get things off my chest, and it helps me to kind of understand placement in life and get my thoughts out there. So it's not only ear candy for all of you, and many of you have commented that very sweetly, so thank you for that, but it is also a nice little therapy for me. And if I'm being honest, I'll hold to that. And I just want to thank you all for saying such kind words, especially recently, given the, let me just, while we're here, I'm just going to read a couple things, because I can't remember what I had written for this in particular. All right, so, so I'm looking at the community post on the Yipmu archive, and there was a very kind comment from Priest Chase. Hi, Chase, who was talking about basically the Anthrocon situation last week when we talked about it. But basically came down to him saying hope you and Archie will be okay, and I know he'll forgive you soon. So if you remember last week, I talked about accidentally bopping Archie in the nose with my keyboard. He's fine. So we're just like old times again. He's fine. There's no problem there. We talked about it, and he's good. And hopefully it can be quickly resolved. Hope you have a good week, Samson. Stay safe, please. Also, see you at AC. I'm in need of a hug from being overwhelmed, and it'd be amazing, along with many other hugs. Well, absolutely, Chase. And I want to thank you for your kind words, and thank you for expressing your thoughts and comments there. And it's a little reminder for you all. If you have a question or anything that you'd like me to read, or, if you're looking for some life advice or anything like that, feel free to post a comment below. And also, maybe if you have just like a quiz question, like maybe you have a question for me that, you would like answered. It could be a fun question, like, how tall are you? Or like, hey, how long have you been fursuiting? What do you do day to day? What's your, tell us more about your job, that kind of stuff. So yeah, feel free to post in the comments, or you can check out the email below, yipmuarchive@gmail.com. Feel free to use that and send me a message. So I'm gonna start off. Excuse me. Still coming down from my little cold that I had. So at this point, the cold that I had is just like reduced to coughing. But I think that's mostly due to allergies, because around this time, transitioning from spring to summer, everything's pretty much set in, as far as like pollen and all that good stuff. So, it's just kind of hanging on, but it's all right. I don't mind it. I really, really don't mind it. It could be a lot worse, is what I'm really saying. But so one of the things that I want to start out talking about, and I have sort of an archive here, haha, funny archive, is talking about the origin story of the phrase Sic Parvis Magna. So a lot of you may remember about, say, like 3-4 months ago, I talked about the origin story of, what did I say? It was greetings and salutations, my greeting for every podcast, every stream, every, some videos here and there. But yeah, I told you about that. And if you want to listen to that episode. I'll link it down below, and you can hear that. But I wanted to talk to you today about the origin of the phrase Sic Parvis Magna. Now, forgive me if I'm repeating myself. I did check my previous episodes, and I don't think I ever talked about it. I don't think I ever I don't think I ever touched on it, fully. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good little tidbit to discuss because it actually has a fairly, well, I would say lengthy history, but it's got history. It's definitely got history, and it's got some ties that I think you'll find interesting. So I've had a few questions over the years about where it came from and why do I use it. Well, I'm gonna set the groundwork here. The phrase was originally coined by English explorer Sir Francis Drake, and he was alive around the 1500s. So it says here that he was born in 1540 and he died in 1596. So he was about that would make him about 56, 57, which is not a very long life by today's standards. But that's originally where the phrase came from. And to those of you who might remember, Sic Parvis Magna translates to greatness from small beginnings, as we would understand it today. But excuse me, the the literal phonetic, well, not phonetic, but the literal translation of it is from small beginnings, greatness. Like if you were to pick apart the Latin phrase into literal English, that would be from small beginnings, greatness. So we preempted the greatness, in modern English, and now it breeds out greatness from small beginnings. So Sir Francis Drake was an explorer. He was one of the first explorers ever to do, they called it a circumnavigation of the world. So basically going from nation to nation, continent to continent, before the cartographic layout of the world or the globe was, as we know it today, was laid out. So he was, he went to India, he went to Borneo, he went to, he went to different European islands. He went to different African islands and Asian islands and continents and stuff before it was understood how exactly the world was set up and how the maps were drawn. So a lot of times we will give someone like, I don't know, Christopher Columbus credit. We'll talk about Magellan or Ponce de Leon, who were all explorers. But the fact is, Sir Francis Drake is definitely in that running. And he's not really talked about, if we're being honest here, especially in American schools, we learn about Christopher Columbus, we learn about Magellan, we learn about, we learn about Lewis and Clark and all these, big names supposedly of exploration. But nobody really talks about Drake. And he's part of English history, but he's part of world history. It's how, and literally how we got to know, how we learned about. Well, I don't know this for sure, but I'm pretty sure that he was a contributor of how we found out the world was round. And I'm not going to get into conspiracy theories here, people. Okay, the Earth is round. It is a globe. Let's move on, and we won't go any further with that line of thinking. So we're going to leave it there. But he coined this term, and it's mostly due to the fact that from my understanding, he always wanted more. Like he always knew that there was more out there to be had. He knew that there was more to discover. And that's what he did. He was an explorer and he wanted to know more about the world. He wanted to discover wonder and he wanted to see, different cultures and how they function and, what they did differently than England. And because at that time and, up until, well, even hundreds of years after that, England was a superpower. So, of course he's going to want to know more because, a lot of people were certainly content with England as far as being a superpower. Like, oh, they're pretty much the rulers of the world here. So what do we got to worry about? Well, Drake had other ideas. He wanted to go and he wanted to discover, and he did. And it doesn't surprise me that someone like Sir Francis Drake would come up with the Latin phrase "Sic Parvis Magna," from small beginnings, greatness. Because dude certainly had small beginnings. He was broke when he started. He was a he was a poor country boy, you know. He was a simple like he was he was literally just a simpleton. Like he would sail just for the sake of sailing. But then he became this conqueror. He became this navigator. He became all these certain things. And I understand from my understanding and my my understanding of his origin story. He was kind of like moved around a lot. He lived with relatives, and he was kind of like I don't think he ever really had, what you would call a nuclear family or a traditional family, which nothing wrong with that. I mean, you can be raised perfectly well without the traditional family. It's been proven time and time again. So he was moved around to relatives, and just so happens that one of his relatives was a sea captain, and he went to Spain as on one of his first missions, and like he literally crossed the Pacific Ocean, you know, as a young man, and he did that for like 5 years. He was in that not navigation, but the voyage. That's what I'm thinking of, the voyage for like 3 to 5 years, and he was knighted. Like in very little time, he just like conquered the sea, right? He may have been like a small town boy, and he got moved from relative to relative, but he just knew that this is what he wanted to do. And like this is kind of where he gets his idea of small beginnings, because the guy had small beginnings. He was basically an orphan. He had family, but he moved around from family member to family member. Not much to be expected from someone like that, if we're being honest. Small town kid, went from relative to relative until he, you know, got stuck with his sea captain relative. I think that was his. Let me see, I have it right here. He was placed in the household of a relative. It doesn't say what kind of a relative. William Hawkins was the name. It sounds to me like it could have been an uncle or a cousin, or maybe like a distant cousin, or something like that. But they don't really say exactly what his relation was to William Hawkins was. But anyway, he lived greatness, small beginnings. He started out small town kid, and then he crossed the Pacific in like 3 to 5 years when he was a young man. So what causes someone to do that? Like, what is the drive in someone to do such a thing? And I think it's just the fact that he knew that there was more. He knew that there was more than just England. He knew that there was more than just small, simple towns. He knew that there was more than just, his relatives and his friends that he had. He knew that there was more to life than, just going to school and, maybe having a career somewhere, that doesn't get you very far in, old timey England. And he just, he went out, he went after it. And he did. And ended up getting knighted after like 5 years. So, yeah, like I said, if anyone's going to come up with such a phrase, it's going to be him, because he literally lived it. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I have kind of coined that term on my channels, on my social media, because I certainly believe it. I certainly believe in greatness from a small, humble beginning. And it actually, a little tidbit for you, I first learned it, and some of you out there who are nerds, you might you might remember these games, but first time I ever heard the Latin phrase, was actually from the Uncharted series. Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 on the PlayStation back in the, let's say, the late 2000s, sort of like beginning 2010s ish. that was where I learned the phrase because, they came up with this fictional character, Nathan Drake, who was a distant relative of, Sir Francis Drake. And, he's trying to do the same thing. He had a small beginning. He was an orphan and he, went out there and became an explorer and, the rest is history, right? Now, mind you, that story is fictional. Like, Nathan Drake's story is fictional from Uncharted. So, but it quickly became one of my favorite games of all time, one of my favorite series of all time, because it was very impactful to me. It was not the first adventure game that I had ever played. It was definitely not the last, but it just I don't know that game series just it really did something in terms of finding greatness in small beginnings, in particular, because I saw Drake's story, Nathan Drake. I saw Nathan Drake's story. They talk about Sir Francis Drake a lot in the series, and got me to reading more about him, and it got me to reading about other explorers and other people of prominence who had humble beginnings, and yeah, so ever since then, it just kind of stuck. Like when I rebooted this channel back in, well, this channel and my main YouTube channel back in 2020, I needed something. Like I was thinking, okay, well, what's a good little tagline? Not that I really needed one, but I just thought, okay, maybe a tagline would be nice. And it just so happened that I had taken Latin back in school. I had a Latin class back in school, and I learned a lot from it. And I, kind of learned how the origins of our language came to be. But yeah, I was like, you know what? Sic Parvis Magna. I like that. When I first heard that, it just stuck with me. As a matter of fact, I wear. I don't know if I can't show this on. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll pop up a picture. But I wear this ring around my neck. I have it on a necklace here. I used to wear it on my finger, but then I lost some weight and it no longer fits on my finger, so I had to get a necklace for it. But anyway, so I have this ring that I wear around my neck every day. Turns out it is, funny enough, it is the ring from the Uncharted series that I got for Christmas one year, and I wear that every day as a reminder that there were small beginnings and there are great points to be had in life. And I definitely see that in my own life. I grew up, I was a sort of a rural kid. I grew up with trees surrounding me, not too far from the city, but still, it was rural enough that, it was just the right amount of country, I guess, so I grew up next to a field, a cornfield. I did all the typical things of, playing outside and all that stuff. My parents, they never really had a whole lot of money. And we didn't do big extravagant things. They did their best to make ends meet, and they certainly did a great job with raising two boys. And yeah, since then, it's just taken off. Like ever since growing up and going to school, getting my degree, getting a good job, and going to furry conventions and just traveling. Yeah, I definitely, I would say for certain that I have that sense of greatness, from small beginnings, because my beginnings were certainly small, but they definitely turned out even better. Like they manifested into something like greater than I could ever imagine. And that is the fact that I get to travel around. I get to meet so many amazing people. I've been to many places now that I can proudly say that certainly happy to have explored. And I like to explore. I like to do urbex. I like to do go to new cities and experience cultures and all that. So yeah, pretty soon we're gonna be spreading out, and we're gonna be going overseas to other furry conventions. I'd love to go to Germany to Eurofurence. I'd like to go to Confuzzled in England. I'd like to go to Nordic FuzzCon, and all these places. And I think I think that has to be the primary motivator. You know, being in that place of greatness from the beginning. Though I didn't have, the most extravagant upbringing, it doesn't matter because now I have these opportunities as an adult to go and do do things that I never thought possible. Like, give you a great example. I waited a long time before I went to my first furry convention. I was 15 when I learned about the furry fandom, and it wasn't until 10 years later that I went to my first furry con. So I didn't go to my first furry con until I was 25. So imagine that. You're just sitting there and you're waiting and you're looking for the right opportunity and, trying to get financially stable and work hard and get all these things in line before you can even like start going to conventions. And that's what I did. So I went to my first convention and when I was 25, and though I had to wait a good 10 years, just my situation, then that's what I had to do, so I did. And I'm so glad it worked out that way. I would not have it any other way. And my first convention, I will never forget it. I've talked about it before, but my first furry convention was Megaplex 2021. And when I tell you that I had no idea what to do with myself, that entire con, I definitely mean it. And ever since then, it's just been one adventure after another. So I'm just so grateful that it worked out this way. And, I, looking over the past 4 to 5 years, I'm definitely seeing the greatness that has manifested. So that's where it comes from. So I have to credit Sir Francis Drake for that, and I have to, credit Uncharted for teaching me that. And though it was a game series, you can definitely learn a lot from video games. So, just thought I'd share that with all of you. It's a nice little extra something, some Samson lore, if you will, some Kitty Fox lore. Learning about where these phrases come from. So, hey, now and I'm gonna live by that for as long as I can because it's something that I will never forget and won't soon forget. So, that being said, a couple of things that I just want to rattle off real quick because I actually have notes. Right, I'm gonna use notes this time. I have to talk about a couple of little tidbits that I thought were kind of funny this past week. So, earlier this week, I think it was on Monday. So I work at a warehouse, as you all know, and when you go in the break room of my workplace, there are a couple of Keurig machines. So Keurigs, the little coffee makers with the little K cups that you use. At the end of Monday, I just happened to make one because I needed some coffee. I had a busy night going on that night, and I needed to stay awake, stay alert. So I made some coffee. I'm like, all right, well, I'll make a K cup and I'll go home. So I did, and there's sort of like an unwritten rule when you have a shared Keurig machine. In an office or in a workplace, you take your K cup out and you throw it away, which is, it's common sense. It's ethical. I'd say common courtesy is a better terminology for it. But anyway, I had forgotten which is a jerk move on my part. Don't get me wrong. I was definitely in the wrong for this, but it'll get funnier, I promise. So I make my little K cup on Monday, and I accidentally leave the used K cup in the machine. I just kind of grabbed my coffee and left because, I forgot. So, funny enough, the next morning I walk in to the break room, and there is my K cup that I had used the night before. And it was sitting on top of the Keurig machine. Now, that wouldn't be so bad. It's just like, oh, someone's just being petty. Okay. It wouldn't be so bad. I would have just taken it and thrown it away if it wasn't for the fact that somebody had taken the time, and I don't know who did it, but I have some theories. Somebody had taken the time to take my used K cup that I forgot to throw away the night before, place it on top of the Keurig machine where everybody can see it, and they actually wrote in permanent marker on it, and I quote, "Throw away your cup, dummy." Yeah, okay, let me just reiterate that. I forgot to throw away my K cup the night before. Okay, so already I'm in the wrong. But somebody had literally taken the time to take my used K cup out of the machine, put it on top of it, and write on it, in words, big black bold words, from a permanent marker, and took the time to say, "Throw away your K-cup, dummy." And I was like, I'm going to be a jerk. So you know what I did? I turned it around. Okay. Now, just a reminder, I am totally the jerk in the situation for not throwing it away. But this is just passive aggressive, okay? I take the K cup that was written on, I turned it around, and then I got my little marker and I wrote on it, okay, and I just left it there. So, uppercut. Take that. Take that. I don't know who wrote that. Excuse me. I don't know who wrote that. It's still funny to me. I don't know who wrote that, who took the time to actually write that little message to me. I'm pretty sure they don't know who I was in the situation as far as like who left the K cup behind. But I just took it and I turned it around and I wrote okay on it and I just left it there. And then when I went in there at lunchtime to look, it was gone. So someone had thrown it away. So yeah, just like, hey, dummy, throw away your K cup. Turn it around, right back, okay. And just left it there. Because I'm a jerk. Okay, I'm already a jerk for leaving the thing, so might as well have a little bit of fun by just, capitalizing on their little jab. So, no harm, no foul. As a matter of fact, I laughed. So, coworker, don't know who was, I have a few ideas who it might be, but I'm not going to name drop. But coworker, if you're listening to this, which I doubt you ever will, that was me. I'm sorry, but not really. You shouldn't have written that passive-aggressive comment, and I wouldn't have uppercutted you. I'm sorry. But, hey, listen, sometimes you gotta have a little fun. That was, honestly, one of the highlights to my week. And I don't know what to think about it. I still don't. I'm just like, you know what? If people are gonna be like that, might as well have some fun, right? So, yeah. That's something I'll never forget. I guess the fact is, anywhere you go in work and life, you're going to find petty people, passive aggressive people. It's just going to happen. Real quick, I do want to mention yesterday I went to my mom's house, which I normally do on midweek. Excuse me. And we had a nice little evening. We had some dinner and we talked and just we like we normally would. We just chatted, and I did some laundry and stuff. And as I was leaving, so my parents, they have a patio outside of their back door, and I walked out of the back door and I was just talking to my mom as I was walking out, and something had caught my eye. I heard like a well, let me see if I have okay. I have a little visual here, well, an audio cue here, but I'm standing there and I'm just kind of chatting as you would as Midwesterners. Like the Midwestern goodbye is very the Midwestern goodbye is you're talking to the person as you're walking out, and it takes forever to leave, but that's what we were doing. We're doing the Midwestern goodbye, and then I'm standing over by the couch that's on the patio, and then I hear basically this out of my right ear. I hear that. And I look over, and what do I see? A giant, what looks like a wolf spider. Big sucker. I'm talking like maybe an inch long. Legs spread out. If you like measured it from leg to leg, it's like probably 2 inches long, this thing. Giant spider. And I'm like, holy crap. I have never in my life seen a spider that big in Ohio. My friends, that thing was huge. And it just sat. It was like just chilling on the couch patio cover. Like it had crawled out from underneath the cover and it just like sat there, like where the porch light was. It just kind of sat in the light and just like stayed there. And my mom and I were like looking at it, like keeping our distance, but we're looking at it like, oh my gosh, that thing is big. So if I remember, I will put up a picture. So trigger warning to any of you arachnophobes out there, please look away now. But here's a picture of the wolf spider that I took. It's I'm not arachnophobic. I'm not. I don't mind spiders. I don't. But that one in particular, at that moment, really gave me the heebie-jeebies. It gave me the wibber-jibbers. Gave me the hoobie-doobies, if you will. And I didn't like it. So, and I'll tell you what, and again, arachnophobes, if you're listening to this, cover your ears. When I took a picture of it, this is the freakiest thing. It did not move at all. Like when I took a picture of it, when I got close, nothing like that. It didn't even move. But the thing that got me the most was it was kind of dark. It was dusk at this point, so it was getting dark outside. And when I snapped a picture of it, the eyes were glowing. Oh, friends, let me tell you, that made me want to throw up. Okay, I don't know what it was, but like I like put my flashlight on it at first, and I saw like the front of it glowing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, are those its eyes glowing? Yes, it is. And then I took a picture of it with the flash, eyes were glowing, and I'm like, ooh, that just kind of gut punched me, and I'm like, I'm getting out of here. I'll see you later, Mom. So she was like, ooh, so she shut the door. She was like, I'm not letting it come in. Yeah, don't do that. And I sent the picture. I sent the photo that I took to my dad, and I was like, hey, beware, you got a little friend on your patio there, so when you come home, just be aware if you uncover the couch, you might have a little bit of a visitor. And he wrote back, you. I don't know how he texted that out, but YUGH is what he wrote back, just ugh, like that. Ugh. So he's aware. He's aware of the intruder on his patio furniture, so I'm hoping he doesn't get bit. Hope he doesn't get jumped on or anything, but yeah, I gave him a warning. I was like, hey, there's a spider. I don't know if he's nesting, but just, be aware that this thing is chilling on your patio. So yeah, that was freaky. And again, I'm sorry to the arachnophobes out there. I apologize. But you have been warned. That was the picture that I took. So, ha. I don't like that. Now, if it had been a moth, I would have passed out. I don't like moths, as you all know. I have motophobia, so no. If it was a moth, I would be probably passed out dead. So, that was fun. Also, I want to mention something got me thinking the other day. I was driving home, and I was driving by a sidewalk stretch that's close to my house, and I saw it looked like a Rottweiler or some kind of maybe a Jack Russell Terrier dog. Excuse me. I drove by this guy walking his dog, and if I had to guess, it was probably a Jack Russell Terrier. Very cute dog. And he's on the phone, and then I see someone coming down the sidewalk, coming his way. And the dog just starts going nuts, like crazy, like trying to attack this guy, coming towards this other guy who's walking him. And I'm just like, oh boy, this ain't gonna be good. But it got me thinking about there's a really old comedy bit from Dana Carvey. And any of you who don't know Dana Carvey, he played Garth on Wayne's World. He was the church lady on Saturday Night Live. He was a regular on Saturday Night Live for many years, and he was also the Master of Disguise, if you've seen that movie. Yeah, talented dude, really cool impressionist, great actor. One of the funnier individuals that I've seen do impressions. Let me just say that his George W. Bush is perfect. He does a great George W. Bush. He does a great H.W. Bush. He does a great Arnold Schwarzenegger. He does, yeah, talented dude. Anyway, how that pertains to the dog story, he had a comedy bit many years ago where he talked about how he will often go out in his neighborhood for jogs, and like he would have the same dog. Like this lady would kind of meet up with him around the same time every morning when he would take his runs, and the same lady with the same dog, the dog would start going arr, 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 like running towards him like a mad lad, and he just like, oh my gosh, every single day this dog tries to attack me. And then he said the lady keeps saying the same thing to me every single day on my runs as this dog is trying to attack me. She says to me, and it actually hurts my feelings, this is me quoting, by the way, she says the same thing to me, and it actually hurts my feelings. She says, "He smells your fear." And then he just goes, "Oh, so it's my fault? So it's my fault that your dog is attacking me?" I don't buy it, and I'm actually offended by that. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in the situation of either jogging or walking or being around an animal that is trying to eat you, but I have definitely had my fair share of like walking or jogging or um, just being out in the park or something like that, and a dog, some dog on a leash is like trying to get after me, and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna move out this way. As a matter of fact, that happened to me a couple weeks ago when I went to D&D. There was a neighborhood dog that I passed by my friend's house where we go and play, and the dog was doing that. It was doing like the arr, 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 like trying to get after me, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna take a nice wide berth around you. So you look nice enough. I like dogs, but I don't prefer to get bit today. So thank you very much. But that just tickled me. It reminded me of that one bit from Dana Carvey talking about he smells your fear. So it's my fault that your dog is attacking me. So what am I supposed to do if I was if I was gonna like stand there all confident like the dog would not attack me? Like I'll stand there in a superhero pose and it's like, stop, halt, you are not gonna attack me today. Is that gonna make it better? Probably not. He smells your fear. Like control your dog. How about that? So yeah, just gave me a chuckle on the way home, and I did appreciate it. And I hope that the guy who the dog was trying to attack did not get attacked, because he looked pretty determined. He looked pretty determined to get after that guy. But I don't think that happened. So, um, oh, yeah, I've been sleeping too much. I was supposed to stream tonight, but I ended up my body had other plans. I ended up falling asleep around 5:30, and I woke up like not too long ago. So, yeah, it's like it's really late in the evening right now, and I gotta stop falling asleep at odd times because then I won't get to sleep later on in the evening. But oh well. Um, oh, speaking of animals, I do have to talk about something from this past weekend. So, one of my coworkers is a friend of mine outside of work. Now, normally I don't do that. I don't usually make friends with coworkers and then hang out outside of work because that's just kind of how you know. Uh, Normally I don't do that. I don't consider coworkers friends. Like you have a good working relationship and that's good enough for me. But this coworker in material what in particular is what I meant to say. I am tired. This coworker in particular, we have a lot in common, and he knows that I'm a furry, so we get along. So, he had gone on a trip over the weekend with his wife, and they put me in charge of watching their house for the better part of 4 days. So I go over there, I'm just checking on stuff, making sure nobody broke in. I'm checking on, the cats. They have two cats, Vader and Minerva. Beautiful, beautiful babies. Very sweet, very kind. Excuse me. And, just checking on the litter, making sure they're fed and all that stuff. And I did this every day for about 4 days. But, house sitting. Makes sense. But one of the things that I should mention is their older cat, Vader, that's his name. And the reason my understanding is he's called Vader is because he's a black and white cat, and the way that the black like his black covering on his face comes down over his face makes it look like a Vader cowl. So it looks like he's got like a Vader helmet, so hence why they call him Vader. Understandable. Minerva is just Minerva. She's the alpha. She's the tough one. Ain't gonna mess with her. Yeah, she's the boss, right? Now Vader gives off this very like no thoughts, head empty vibe, and he's dumb but he's smart. So if you look at this cat head on, like look at him in the eyes, there's nothing there. Like I tell you this for sure. Eyes are too close together, and you look at him and you're looking into his soul, and you just don't see anything. You're just like, you in there, buddy? Yeah, lights are on but nobody's home. Okay. Yeah. Hey, he's a very sweet enough cat, but he does things that are very questionable. One of the things that he does which highlights his, his not smartness, but also his cleverness. He may not be a smart man, but he's not dumb. Let's put it that way. He, I was told before they left for their trip, he has the tendency to, in the interest of being PG, he has the tendency to purge, right? Meaning that he will leave, he will basically upchuck and leave piles of essence, hairball essence, in different places of the house, which was evident per my staying there. So I'd come over and I'd look around, and sure enough, there'd be some kibble, there'd be a hairball, there'd be different piles of matter, shall we say, in the area. Well, the last night that I was there, I had shown up after doing a stream, and I just wanted to check on the house one more time before they came back the next day. But so I I walk in, and nothing seems too out of the ordinary. They're just kind of hopping around doing cat things, and yeah, I I look around and I don't see anything weird. And so I'm just, I'm getting their food and water and litter and stuff, just the usual. Well, they have an assortment of cat toys around the house, and one of those toys is actually a miniature, like a little tiny magic carpet from Aladdin. Now, it looks exactly like the Aladdin carpet, and it's supposed to be like a funny haha, oh, look, it's a carpet and the cats can sit on it. So, a whole new world, and yeah, all that. So, it's actually a cute little toy. Like, it's a little magic carpet, cats can sit on it, and it looks like they're flying. Okay, we get the joke. But this cat, Vader, what a character. I was doing some cleaning. I was moving their toys kind of out of the walkway and just kind of tidying up a bit. And I had moved the magic carpet, which was sitting over by the closet. I moved it out of the way, thinking it was kind of in the way of the walkway. This dude, this cat, had deliberately taken the carpet and covered up a pile of his own vomit. Like, what? And there was a lot of it too, okay? So sorry for the squeamish if you're listening to this. This cat took the time to take the magic carpet toy and cover up his pile of vomit with this carpet. And I looked at him and I'm like, "Are you serious, dude? Really? Like you can't cat function, but you can do that? You're smarter than I thought you were." I don't know. Like the fact that he just was so he was so confident in his accomplishment there of covering up his own vomit pile, and it was a lot to clean up, let me tell you, but oh my gosh, that was a surprise. I was like, wait a second, how did you I think I underestimated his intelligence, right? So he may not be a smart cat, but he's not dumb, right? I let the homeowners know. I let my coworker and his wife know, and they kind of didn't look surprised at all. They were like, yeah, he does stuff like that. And I'm like, cats be cats. If I was a cat, I'd probably do the same thing. So I don't fault him for that. But it was just so surprising. Like, how did you manage to do this? And yet you can't even manage to make the litter box. I don't know, man. I'm just here, right? I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But, yeah, that's an experience I'll never forget. Cats are smart. As a matter of fact, I got one sitting right next to me, and he's looking at me right now. So, hi Archie. What's with the eyes? Oh, okay. Well, he's not gonna respond. Uh, so, I need to talk about a couple other things before we head off for the night here. Um, so this is not a sponsor, but I need to talk about it, and I thought it was really interesting. So a lot of you are probably aware of data brokers and online security and VPNs and that kind of thing. Well, I I have a VPN, which is I highly recommend if you don't have one. I use Aura, AURA, A lot of YouTubers will advertise for it. You probably have seen it before. They're like, oh, this podcast episode is sponsored by Aura. Protect your online security, blah blah blah. And I got Aura like 2-3 years ago, and I've used it ever since. And I've been, things have been well. I haven't had my identity stolen. Haven't had any fraud issues. Haven't really. I haven't had a spam call in months, if that tells you anything. And by the way, this is not a sponsor, not advertising. I'm just letting you know that this is what I use. So Aura has a VPN, which I use, and it does really well. You can use it for your computer and phone, which I do. And it also gives you alerts. So how it works is a lot of data brokers out there will get your information from other companies. So like if you have an account with like Spectrum Internet, or maybe your bank, or Amazon, or like anywhere that has your personal information, like your banking information, your name, address, that kind of thing. These companies will sell your information to data brokers, which is, first of all, already scummy, and that's a whole debate we're not going to get into. I'm just going to, tell you like it is. It's stupid. I don't like it. I don't like how they have to make money by selling your information. So, this is why, if you Google your name, you're going to find yourself on people search websites. Peoplefinder.com, Yellow Pages, White Pages, all those places that, like, reverse phone number lookup, those types of companies that sell your information or have your information sold to them. So I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that my name was out there with my address, and with just a premium subscription or a hack or whatever, someone can look up my information and get everything that they want to find out about me. And I'm just going to speak for a second as a content creator. That's a scary thing. Okay. So you may be furries, if you're listening to this, you may have an alias online, right? You may have a persona alias. You may have a different profile picture. Maybe don't post your face online, which is all well and good. Cool. Like, I'm a huge advocate for privacy. Please, if you can help it, do not post your face online. It's not good, right? But if you do it safely, okay? So, again, there's no like for or against, posting your identity. Do whatever you want to do online. Just make sure you're safe about it. That's all I have to say about it. But anyway, so what Aura does is it'll take those data brokers and it will send them messages. It'll find all of your information all across the internet, and it will send forms to those data brokers in order to get your information removed. Because if you request a data broker to release your information and to delete it, they have to do it by law, right? By law, if you tell a data broker that you do not want your information out there, they have to release it. They cannot keep it. Now, that strikes a whole other debate of, do they actually delete it? Do they actually get rid of it? I don't know. But all I know is that when you have requested your information to not be used by these data brokers, then legally they have to get rid of it. Okay? That much we know. So Aura does that for you. It'll send requests and it'll send demands to these companies to say, hey, person A doesn't want their information out there. Can you please take it off of the internet, take it off of your site, whatever. And legally, by binds, they have to do it. So, and it works. I actually Googled myself recently, and I looked, and I looked, and I looked, and I could not find myself. So it worked out great. Now, again, not an ad, but I did have something interesting happen. Okay? Not only does Aura, like, take away your, clean off your information from the internet by request of other data brokers and places and companies, but it will also alert you. It searches the deep web if your name or your address or anything pops up on the deep web. So, as we all know, the deep web is a very real thing, or dark web or dank web, whatever you want to call it. It's a real thing, right? Just takes a torrent browser, which I don't recommend doing, okay? Do not go on the deep web if you can help yourself, I know some people do it for fun, but if you're going to do it, again, be safe about it. I had gotten an alert on my phone this past week, and I looked, and I was like, what is this? And it said, and I quote from Aura had found a data leak on the deep web. And it turned out to be my Tumblr account. I guess my Tumblr account somehow leaked on the deep web. And I'm like, what? Because, first of all, I haven't used Tumblr since 2016. Okay? I have not been on Tumblr probably since 2017. I completely forgot that I had a Tumblr account. Now, I know that Tumblr is still used by people. As a matter of fact, one of my friends uses it for fan fictions, which is totally fine. Cool. I have not used it personally since 2017. And the fact that Aura last week sends me an alert that says, hey, your Tumblr account information was found on the deep web. You might want to change your password or your username. I was like, okay, so what do? I get on a website that I haven't been on in almost 10 years and I change my password. Why? Because I guess I don't want my information on the deep web. All right, fine. But in all honesty, what's it gonna do? Like, what the heck is my Tumblr account on the deep web gonna serve exactly? Like, my real name is not on Tumblr. I made sure of that. I use an alias for like those types of social media accounts. Um, and I used a fake email for those kinds of. But it was just so funny to me. Like, I don't know why. What possible scenario would it benefit anybody to have my Tumblr account on the deep web? Who's looking for what? How's Tumblr gonna help anybody? Like, nobody uses Tumblr anymore, literally, and yet somehow Aura finds it on the deep web. What the heck? Like, I don't know, but I changed my account password. Okay, done. And then the alert went away. I was like, all right, resolved, done. Okay, good to go. I was like, that's interesting. But that being said, I started to say, furries out there, especially content creators, if you're going to be anonymous online, that is having a persona name, your persona profile picture, whatever, just be aware that it does not matter that much. You can use an alias, you can use a fake email, you can use, a different username, not post your face, that kind of thing. But just remember that all that information that you put in with your alias, aka your persona, it can still be traced back to you. So your email that you use, the persona name, any of that stuff, it is still connected to you, and it can still be tracked back to you as a person, and it can still be. There's still an attachment to your legal name, if that makes sense, because somewhere along the line, that hacker, that data broker, that person is gonna find your persona, and then it's gonna be connected somewhere to your real name. This is especially true for PayPal. Okay, so PayPal requires you, and I'm putting this in air quotes. You can't see them, but I'm putting this in air quotes. PayPal requires you to use your full legal name to use their services. That is not true. I actually have a fake name on PayPal, and I can get away with it. I don't know how, but I just put in my alias, and it accepted it. But here's the thing. It's still attached to my bank account, right? Maybe a fake name, maybe an alias, but it is still attached to my fake account or my bank account. So just be aware of that. Like, even though you use an alias, a fake email, a fake name, a fake profile picture, you don't post your face, anything like that, it is still connected to you. Like, your accounts are still on your phone that has your legal name on the device. So just be aware, protect yourself online. And, if you can get a VPN, do it. I highly recommend it. Like I said, I haven't had a spam call in literal months. As a matter of fact, I told this to one of my coworkers. I was like, because one of my coworkers was having a lot of trouble with spam calls recently. And like they would say like, oh yeah, it happens every couple of days. And I'm like, well, you need a VPN. And I'm like, what's that? So I explained it to them. And they're like, oh, okay, I'll look into it. So yeah, it is so nice not getting spam calls. I mean, like, maybe I'll occasionally get a wrong number. That happens still. Like, it's not a spam call. It's just a mistake. Though it is funny listening to the voicemails sometimes, I'll tell you what. But anyway, yeah, I haven't had a spam call in months. So I'm basically shielded at this point on the internet. Now, Also, with the possibility of still getting hacked and still getting your information out there, understandably so. Okay, just because you have VPN, just because you have protection, identity protection and all that stuff, you can still be vulnerable enough to get hacked. You can still be vulnerable enough to get your information stolen. It still happens. Like there are data breaches all the time. So, um, no, you're not fully 100% connected. You're not fully 100% protected on the internet. Okay, it just kind of comes with the territory. If you're going to have online accounts, you still have vulnerability whether you have protection or not. That is a fact of life. And it's a risk that you take whether or not you have accounts, in your name or not. So, or if you have protection or not. It's just, it's part of life. I'm not saying that you will get hacked or you get your information stolen, but you still have that possibility. So just keep that in mind. But this is just a word of encouragement to all of you. If you can help it, please keep yourself anonymous online, like as much as possible. Make sure your information is protected. Make sure that you have all the necessary tools to keep you safe, and hopefully none of you have to deal with the anguish of getting your information stolen. I have heard many horror stories of people fighting battles that take literal months to get resolved, over the fact that they got their phone number leaked by someone who sold their information. So I'm encouraging you, please stay safe online. Use the necessary tools that you can. There are services out there like Aura, like NordVPN, like all these other, not sponsored companies that can help you out. So, because they care. So, yeah. Make sure that you care about your own information as much as these companies because they can help you. So, that being said, I think that's going to be the podcast. Let me see if I covered all my notes here. Oh, real quick, I did have a dream recently. Excuse me. Sorry, this just tickled me. Um, I I had a dream recently, and this is completely like I don't know how it's unhinged. Okay, I had a dream that one of my favorite YouTubers was a furry, and we went fursuiting together. That YouTuber was Wendigoon. Okay, and yeah, I watch Wendigoon. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. He's entertaining. He's a super chill dude. Cool. I know he's got a bit of a checkered past, and that's a whole different discussion. But yeah, I watch him because he's entertaining. Whatever. So I had a dream recently that Wendigoon was a furry, and we went fursuiting together. As a matter of fact, his fursuit slash sona was like a gray wolf, which I wouldn't have thought. I would have thought it was like a deer because Wendigo, deer, antlers. Yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. And I think that's a good place to end the podcast. So, Isaiah, if you're listening to this ever, hey, know that I see you, man. If you're a furry, then we should talk. I know you're not a furry in real life, but if my dream is at all self-fulfilling prophecy or reflection of reality, let's talk. What's your persona, Wendigoon? If you see this or hear this, what's your persona? I'm curious if you got one. I imagine it's gonna be a deer, or it's a literal Wendigo. So we'll talk about it if we ever get the chance. But anyway, so that's the podcast, everybody. This is a bit of a ramble-bamble podcast. Nothing in particular to talk about. Nothing too crazy to, mention. But I just want to say I want to thank you for listening. As always, thank you for your support and love. And I've said it before, but I'm so thankful that I get to do this. Not that I have to, but that I get to. It's a blessing every single day, and reading your comments and your kind words on both channels and all social media is just always a beautiful thing. So I do want to thank you for that, and it just really warms my heart to see you all and getting to interact with you. And yeah, it makes a huge difference in my life, and I would not have it any other way. And like, I am forever, ever in your debt, and I cannot repay you. If I could give you all a hug and say that I love you, I would. But the further along we get in this crazy YouTube career, the more that I'm realizing that that's not as possible as it might be. If I could hug every single one of you, I would. But, it's getting harder and harder to do that. But I'm just thankful that the ones I do get to meet and get to hug, it's just a beautiful thing. So thank you for that. But once again, thank you for listening, and thank you for getting to this point of the podcast. If you're still here, thank you for sticking around. Really appreciate you. And yeah, just remember, as we talked about, the Latin phrase "Sic Parvis Magna." Remember greatness from small beginnings. Don't forget where you came from, and the humbleness of your beginnings, and where you are now. Remember that every step that you take, there is potential for greatness, whether that is created by you or whether you find it along your way. And never forget those who came up with you. Don't forget those who continue to stand by you today and encouraged you and made you who you are. And always remember to be yourself, to be you, because nobody else can be you. Remember that you can only do the things the way that you can, the way that you do best, and nobody else can replicate that. There has never been anyone like you in the past, the future, and there will never be anyone like you right now. So only you can do the things that you can, the best that you can. So be yourself, because the world needs you just as you are. So on that note, I want to thank you again for listening. Thank you for all your love. And until next time, this is Samson Kitty Fox, and I will catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye. Bye. Meow meow.